All right, everybody. Cash call. Brian Curtis, Dale Archdekin, back for another amazing week of us really just uplifting the public in the best way that we possibly can, which is helping you guys have much better conversations with strangers. And who knows, even people you do know. Right, Brian?
Yeah, you can talk. You can still have conversations with people you know. I think that's acceptable. So
occasionally, I try to limit that. Try to keep that to a minimum. No, I'm kidding. All right. So today, Brian, you got some calls for us. We weren't able to get around to you last week. And so, we took all of our time on the call that I had. So why don't we work on what Brian has today, everybody?
Okay, cool. So I've chopped this call up a little bit. Let me just start by saying that, hello, Michael Miller, to everybody. Thank you. I just want to start by saying, so I cut this person's name out of this. When you listen to it, they did introduce themselves. It's not just starting from the blue. So, but
you're changing names to protect the innocent. Is that?
I am. I'm bleeping out names. Like Dale, as he plays his, will actually pause, pause the sound. I'm not that high tech, so I'm going to just simply do it ahead of time because I know I'll screw it up. So anyway, one of the good things about being in any industry is that you understand what your weaknesses are and compensate for them. So one of my weaknesses is I'm not going to hit the sound at the right time and I'm going to disqualify. So anyway, enough of that garbage. Let's go ahead and get this started to play because I know we're running a little behind this morning. So here we go.
I don't hear anything. Uh-oh, technical difficulties, everybody. You would think after 5 years, we would have this down.
Or after 5 years, we're like most people, we keep doing the same stuff over and over again. And
right.
So learn something. Okay, I'll be nice to myself. All right, tell me now, Dale.
Great. Hi. Were you trying to schedule a tour for a property in Bella Vista? Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. I can help you with that. So I am a local realtor. I'm a buyer's agent. Are you already currently working with?
Go ahead, Dale. Notice that Dale did not ask me to pause that. I just had a feeling I was going to want to talk about that.
Wait. Let's recreate it. Oh, I'm hearing myself here. Can you kill your sound? It's popping out. It's coming out of mine. I don't know what's going on. But I want to recreate what just happened, okay? I go down to the local car lot, right? I start to walk out, and I'm looking in the window of a car, and a car salesperson walks up to me and goes, "Hi, are you looking to buy a car?" "Yeah." "Great, I'm a car salesman. I help people buy cars. Do you have a car salesman you're working with?" Okay, let's not do that right off the bat.
So I'm going to say the same thing in a different way. Say the same flippant thing every single time with every freaking lead on the front end of something. Like, there should be no mystery what my intro script. Hi, this is Brian Curtis, Curtis Realty Group, and thanks for reaching out today. Zillow's connected us. I am a local real estate agent here in such and such a place, and Zillow said that you're interested in 123 Main Street. I'd love to set up an appointment for you, or do you have any questions? Same freaking scripts every freaking time. And and I'm not saying you have to use my script, but don't stumble and bumble around. If you don't have your intro script memorized, you're going to say something like, "Hey, I'm not the listing agent," in case you were looking for the listing agent, which is one of the things this person just said.
Right. So, yeah, and I don't like that she said I'm a buyer's agent because, just play the devil's advocate with whatever comes out of your mouth. "Oh, you're a buyer's agent, so you only do buyer stuff. Do I need a buyer's agent? Is that the right thing for me? Should I have some other kind of agent? Do I even want an agent at all?" Right?
Right.
If you just think of all the questions that could pop up in somebody's mind as a result of what you said, it's just easier not to make it weird. Just go on with the conversation like you did, Brian, right? "Hey, that's fantastic. When would you like to go see the property?" Or when is convenient for you to get out there? Whatever it may be.
Yeah, hey, I've got time tomorrow, which would be better if you go take a look at it. I'm not stuck on you have to have the script be the same as mine or the same as Dale's, but what I am stuck on is it has to have a couple of components. It has to say who you are. If you're working things like Zillow, like this is a Zillow lead, say that you're a local agent. The reason being they've already talked to somebody from God only knows where. They really don't want to talk to that person. They're not sure that they want to talk to you because they're afraid you're somebody else who can't help them. So give them that opportunity. And then again, depending on the lead's intent, if it's a high intent lead, if it's a sign call, realtor.com, Zillow, ask them if they want to see the property. If it's not something like a pay-per-click lead or a website lead, Facebook lead, hey, you made an inquiry on my website. Are you guys thinking about making a move soon, or are you just window shopping?
Yeah.
So some version of those things. And again, you should say it over and over until you're sick of hearing yourself say it. And I know that seems silly, but that's really where I think we need to be. All right, I think I beat that dead horse. Let's move on.
The realtor? No. Okay, fabulous.
Okay, so I made it
Have
a
you been
whole
looking for
other 2
properties for
seconds
long?
before I
Yes,
did this.
I have, and I liked this particular home. I have 2 other in mind, but I don't know if I'll have time to
Are
see
you
them
kidding
today.
me?
Okay.
Okay, so here's another thing. Dale, I don't like the question, are you working with a realtor? Dale does, and Dale and I don't agree on 100% of everything. But let me ask you this, Dale. 32 seconds into the phone call, should you be asking somebody if they have a realtor?
No.
Tell me
No.
why.
Because I need to build rapport first with you. Because, and it's not, I feel like it's some people, when I'm doing training, they're like, oh, well, if you ask them if they have a real estate agent, they're just going to lie to you. I don't believe that. Most people don't just lie. Most people don't lie. And in fact, will go out of their way not to tell a lie. The reason that I don't want to ask it that quickly is because if they do, or if they're thinking of using someone, I don't have any rapport built, and it's hard to overcome that or sell past it with no rapport. If I have more rapport, and then I find out that you have somebody you're planning to work with, thinking about working with, have worked a little bit with, right? I have more firepower to be able to try and sell around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny because I was teaching a class this morning, and I said this no less than 10 times. Everything you do has to be in rapport. So we were talking about objection handling. Before you're doing objection handling, be in rapport. Before you're closing, be in rapport. When you first start talking to somebody, get into rapport. And it's an overused term, but I'm telling you right now, 32 seconds into a conversation, oh, you should use me instead. Really? Because we've talked for 32 whole seconds.
Right.
Why? I mean, don't set yourself up. There's 2 questions that are very legitimate questions that can be asked, but need to be asked further on in the conversation. And they are, do you have an agent, or some version of do you have an agent? And are you pre-approved? And again, some version of that. My pre-approval question is, are you guys planning on paying cash, or do you need to finance, or are you planning on financing the home? That's my question. I always lead with, are you planning on paying cash? Why? Because no one's ever insulted if I ask them if they have $500,000 in cash laying around. But
Right.
if I say, hey, do you need financing? They're like, no, I'm good. I'm this, okay, it's hard in my defense. So lead with cash if you're going to ask that question. But again, that's a question way down the road. You agree?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Definitely down the road. I was gonna even just define a little bit of what we mean when we say rapport. And let's just make sure that we're on the same page with the audience. When we say rapport, what it means to me is that this person, either I can tell that they like me, or that they are jiving with what I'm saying. Like we're in alignment with the way that we're talking or the way that we're thinking, and they're sort of open and they have a positive attitude. At minimum, they're not resistant to me, right? Or they're not objecting to me, or they're not, or that we're not, sometimes there's just like, when you communicate with somebody, you've communicated with those people where you just can't connect. Like we're not connecting. We don't see things similarly. We don't understand each other well. That is way out of rapport, right?
Yes. And here's the thing that's interesting about rapport that I want to add. If Dale and I are in rapport, we both feel it.
Yes.
So how do you know you're not in rapport? You don't feel like you're in rapport. And sometimes it seems overly simple, but we know, like I know that, hey, we were jiving with this guy, and then we started talking about financing, and then they got real quiet and didn't want to talk about, we lost rapport. Now, that's not always your fault. Like maybe you brought something up very legitimate like financing, and they got a 400 credit score and they don't want to talk about it. So therefore you've created a situation where you've lost rapport. That's fine.
And you don't know it. It's hard to interpret, right? It's not you, it's the financial situation.
Right. So to me, and this is most important on the phone, and I can't say this enough. So this call is going to be 3 minutes and 22 seconds long. I think I cut it up. So it's probably about 5 minutes long. Most outgoing phone calls or even incoming phone calls, at the max, you've got 10 minutes. So you can't spend 20 minutes trying to build rapport. Well, so what am I saying with that? On the phone, your key to rapport, and I believe this in person as well, but more on the phone than anything else, is mirroring and matching. And Dale talks about this all the time. Hey, this is Brian. Well, the first word that's going to come out of Dale's mouth is hey. Not because Dale says hey all the time, but because I said hey. So I'm going to be in the same thing with that. I'm going to look at their pace. I'm going to look at, here's something a lot of people don't look at, content chunks. So content chunks are things, how many words people say in between. So my favorite example of content chunks is George W. Bush. So George W. Bush talked in about 3 or 4 word content chunks. If you ever listen to him, he did, and it annoyed the crap out of people, right? There's a reason for him to do that, but that's not important. So listen to the content chunks. Here's the thing, and I will say this, if you're a long talker like me, and Dale's probably would fall into the long talker category, big chunks, one of the things you may have to do is chunk your things down, because here's what they found. People who talk in really long chunks can pay attention to the people who talk in short chunks. People who talk in short chunks cannot pay attention to the people who talk in really long chunks.
I want to I want to say something. I want to say something about that. I've noticed that in my real life, right? When you're networking with
real
people,
life.
in my real IRL in real life, I can name a couple of people who shall not be named here, who are influencers, who have big, that like they're well known, but I can tell when I talk to them, I'm too long. Like their eyes glaze over, their body language changes, they look around, you can just see the mood shifts when I start to go over those little bite-sized chunks that they need, right? They're the, Brian probably knows some of them. They're the people where you have to say something snappy and fun fast in little like doses, right? They're like adrenaline junkies. They're like, oh, I'm not pumped up. We're 5 words in, I'm bored. I want to do something else. I need something shiny again. Shiny.
Yeah. So it's just one more thing that you can pay attention to, right? So again, this person talks in pretty short content chunks, by the way, if you pay attention to it. So part of that might have been we didn't have enough rapport at the front end, so I'm getting 1-word answers. But, and I want to tell you something else. Back to George W. Bush. When he did speeches, he talked in 3 or 4 word chunks. But here's something that's interesting. If you ever watch just a regular interview with him when he's not president, he talks a lot longer. It's interesting. So it was done on purpose, is my point. So if you're going to have to go one way or another, go shorter is my point.
That makes sense.
So, all right, I'm going to play a little bit more. See if we can make it past 5 seconds before I need to pause.
So do you want to go see this one off 32 Rillington Drive?
Yep.
Okay, let me see. You requested at 3 p.m. Is that still good for you today?
Yes.
Let me see if that's available. What is it?
Didn't make it very long. So the answer is yes, it's available, and we're booking at 3 o'clock and move on. Right. And Dale and I've talked about this a bunch of times. Move on. Okay, great. I'll come back to it. They'll take my phone call if it's pending. They'll take my phone call if the seller has to cancel on me. I promise. So book the flipping appointment.
Yeah, let's put it this way, Brian. A lead is vastly more likely to answer your call if they have a pending appointment with you where they want to go see something and you have to call them back than they are if they already know the house is not available, right? They're much less likely to answer your call. So you're on the side of booking an appointment that you can't do. I'm not saying lie, right? We're not saying be fraudulent. I'm saying don't look the goddamn thing up, just book the appointment and then find out that you can't show it.
Yeah. And by the way, it's okay. This is my statement that you guys can take for what it's worth. It's hard to set an appointment. It's super easy to cancel one.
Oh yeah.
So this person's basically saying, set an appointment with me, set it. Don't try and, because what happens if we look this house up and we go, hey, that house isn't available. All right, thanks. Now what we've done, I'm not saying we can't come back from that, because we can. But guess what? We've just taking the air out of this person's sales. They were excited. They wanted to see this house. It was a very specific house. Can't see it. All right. Okay. Well, I'm good. Thanks. Click. You just disappointed them. And it might not be that extreme, but remember, in sales, we've got so much stuff to overcome. Don't create additional obstacles for yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's already hard enough. Like, just don't make it any harder.
Perfect. All right. I'm up to 53 seconds. I'm cruising right along.
About this property that you like. Oh, so many things. We've been working with a realtor, but unfortunately she, I don't know, maybe you know her or not. She worked with Better Homes. She had to kind of move and is opening another office, so she just doesn't have the time that, we want. But we've lost her and all, so she's been showing us homes and stuff, but you know how the market is kind of crazy, so we just stopped looking for a while, and so just now we saw this house, and so we're interested in looking again. But very slow today, so he's actually out running errands, and we just have a toddler who's napping right now. His nap ends before 3, that's why I scheduled at 3. I just don't know how bored he'll get, but if he is up for it, I would love to go see all the houses at once today, back to back.
Okay. So what I can do is I can go ahead and try to book the appointment, so I can do the logistics of how long it's going to take to get from one house to the other. And I can book them, and then if your toddler is not hanging with it and you guys need to bail, that's fine. That's no big deal.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have handled that exactly like that, but I like that she solved her problem. Hey, if your toddler becomes intolerant, we'll just cancel the other appointments.
Yeah, I like that. I think that I would also have added in, when the lead related that they had an agent they were working with who then moved, didn't have the time for them, I might have gone for a close there, right? I might have, when I say close, what I mean is I might have gone for a pitch and without a close, right? I might have said, oh, hey, listen, I got it. Listen, it sounds so far like I'd really like to work with you guys and help you out. And I do have the time that I'd be able to dedicate to you if we meet and you decide that you'd like to work with me too. I would just leave it open and for a pitch, but not close it.
Right. And so this agent's on a team. I might also throw in there here, it's really a bummer when you do all that work, get to know somebody, and then all of a sudden they're not available for you and they don't have any kind of backup plan. So one of the things that's really great about our team is that there's about 30 people who are licensed on our team. I would like to tell you I'm available 24/7. I'm not, but I can tell you this: if I'm not available during business hours, one of the other agents will be. So we're not going to leave you hanging. And basically I'm saying, hey, the other agent left you hanging, which on some level they did. Why didn't they refer that to somebody else in their office? Why didn't they? I don't know. I have no idea. But that other agent lost an opportunity and their brokerage lost an opportunity.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, play a little bit more.
Okay, I mean, at worst case scenario, one of us can come back home,
Yeah, because I feel like everything in Bella Vista for me is 22 minutes.
I will also say this agent, and she's a newer agent, she's excited. And she keeps stepping on the other person. So, by the way, I've stepped on a client, right? Haven't you, Dale?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, it's hard. You're going to do that anyway, no matter how many conversations you have. Hopefully, I wonder, this person personally. Do they have that tendency to do that, or is it just a one-off?
I think it's a one-off, and she's just excited. I mean, you can hear the excitement in her voice. By the way, I love the excitement in her voice. She sounds interested to be in this conversation. And I can't tell you how many phone calls I listen to when the agent does not sound interested to be in the conversation.
I know.
So
I think we've played some on this. We've definitely played some on this call, on this podcast.
Yes, we have. And I have no idea if she's interested, but sound like you're interested. You know what I mean? Like so, yeah, absolutely. But here's my point. Sometimes when we get interested and motivated and excited, we have a tendency to step on the other person. One of the things I'll say to you is if you do it once, that's okay. Not ideal, but okay. But if you keep doing it, then it's your fault.
Yeah.
What means is that this other person wants to talk. And guess what? You should let them talk, because they're going to tell you things like, I had an agent who basically I had to fire because they bailed on me. I've got a young kid. And I mean, look, this person's doing discovery for us. Don't step on them. Let them keep doing the discovery work for you. Yeah. So anyway, a little bit more.
It's away.
Yes.
Yeah, my husband works in Rogers, so it's about 15, 20, depending on traffic in the day. Can I ask you another question? Like, for how long have you been a realtor, and like how many homes have you sold this past year?
Yeah. So, okay. So let me tell you a little bit about me. So I have had my license for 2 years.
Hold on. I want to do that differently. Can you ask me that question?
Yeah. Hey, Dale.
Phrase it like she did.
I think I got it. So, hey, Dale, a quick question. I've got 2 quick questions for you. How long have you been a realtor, and how many homes have you sold?
Oh, that's a great question. So I've been doing this a long time. Occasionally people will ask me something like that. I'm curious, what does that mean to you? What is important to you about the agent that you work with?
Yep. And do you want me to answer that, or is that where you dive?
No. Now, so I might do that. Let's say that I somehow decided I was going to get back into production because I bumped my head and decided that's what I wanted to do. Not disparaging agents. My wife still sells real estate. My specialty is building and managing real estate teams, okay? Not selling houses. But if I had to, if somebody did that and said, how long have you been in the business? How many homes have you sold? I could probably answer that pretty well. But let's say that they said, hey, how many homes have you sold in the last year? That would be exactly 0, right? Regardless of how much experience I have. And of course, I don't want to say that. But also what I did there is something that I think any listener here that doesn't have a really stellar record or hasn't sold a lot of houses, or maybe you're newer, what did I do? I just acted like I got a big, long sheet of sales and accomplishments, and that I occasionally, because I said, oh, you know what, I've been doing this a while, and occasionally I get a question like that, right? So I'm almost patronizing and saying, that's a very cute question. Why would you ask that, right? Is essentially what I did in the way that I was. What does it mean to you? What's important to you? Totally just turned it back around onto Brian.
Well, and when Dale asked me that question, 2 things happened. First of all, he regained control of the conversation. The person asking the question is the person in control of the conversation. So he regained control of the conversation. And then the other thing is he can talk about what he wants to talk about and not answer that question as directly if need be. To his point, well, hey, actually, I just got back into production. I've sold 700 houses, but I took a couple of years off because I was doing some other things. But what's important about, I want someone who knows the area. Great, I've lived here my entire life. I know that. I want someone who's from, I study the real estate market. I'm also a real estate coach. So
and an investor. I own property, sell property, blah, blah, blah.
Right. So the number of houses that Dale has sold in the last 12 months is relatively irrelevant. Like, I can tell you right now, if I was moving to Dale's market and Dale said, hey, I'll help you buy a house, I would feel completely comfortable with that, even though he hasn't sold a house in a long time. I don't know what that is. I
don't know if you could afford me. I don't think you could convince me. I would love you. I'll give you my wife. She's awesome. She's way better than me. That's that leadership thing, right, Brian? Oh, no. Yeah. You want my wife. She's way better.
So watch what this agent does. It's actually pretty cool.
Years. My husband has been in this business for 7, and we work as a team. So.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. So we work for the. He started this 7 years ago when we found out we were pregnant with our son.
Okay. So the first part she did good. The second part is nobody cares. Nobody cares that. I want to got pregnant. Okay.
I want to hear how this person responds, because the person does seem kind of analytical and she might not give a shit.
So here it goes.
So.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. So we work for the. He started this 7 years ago when we found out we were pregnant with our son, and it changed our lives doing real estate. It just made our life a million times better. And so after my son had gotten a little bit bigger, we were like, all right, now it's time for you to get your real estate license.
Yes, I totally get it.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
No, she doesn't care. Yeah, I don't think that was useful. And you know what I would say, man, is I think this agent sounds really great. Love her energy. Sounds really positive and knowledgeable. I think that she should listen back to this and work on identifying this person's personality type, because I think they're a little more analytical, and she doesn't care.
Right. And think about this. I want you to think about this. The number of people who have asked you that question that she got asked about, how long have you been doing this and how many houses you sold? I want to say I don't even have any idea how many appointments I've been on, but let's say 3,000 appointments that I went on in my real estate career. I got asked that question maybe 10 times.
And you know what, man, in my experience, it's only either really experienced people consumers, leads that will ask you that, or an inexperienced analytical person that will ask you that.
Yep. So understand when you're asking that to do that. So we've got a couple of comments.
Well, yeah, so we have chat going back and forth that it was probably this agent's attempt at building rapport, and we agree it was her attempt at building rapport. The lead is a robot and doesn't give two shits. So I know Brian didn't like that. They're an analytical's way of rapport is not personal details.
Well, let me say I'm going to disagree just for fun. So my issue is not that the person's is an analytical. My issue is they still don't care.
Either way.
I don't care that being a real estate agent has made your life better.
I don't care. I don't think that's a good way to put it. I think I think making your life better is not the good way to put it. I think it could be that, hey, my husband got into it. It was so successful for him. He needed help. I got my license and we are killing it together. Like, I think that slight shift just demonstrates your success.
Just a tweak of that. I agree. But saying, hey, this has changed my life and my life is so much better now that I'm a real estate agent. Okay. I just want to answer to respond real quick to Eric's comment. Those who asked that question probably read a book on how to buy a home with an agent. There is, like, if you go and read blogs and different things, there is sometimes like a list. Here's the 7 things you should ask when interviewing your agent. There's a chance that person read that. And again, this person's pretty analytical. They probably did.
Yeah.
So, all right, we've got just a couple seconds left. Let me play a little bit more of this and we'll be done.
Yeah, so I've been doing this for about 2 years now. And on our team, you have to close a minimum of 2 transactions per month.
I'm just going to let it keep going for a second.
Sometimes we close more, sometimes we close less, but you have to close 2 a month to stay on our real.
Okay. So why did I want to play that part? Again, that has nothing to do. So remember this, nobody cares about you. Eventually they might. You've built some rapport with them. We've hung out. We've looked at 20 houses together. They might care about you.
Let's go back to the old car analogy. What this agent just did, I walked onto the car lot. This car salesman is like, hey, yeah, I'm really good at selling cars. And I have to make sure that I sell anybody, any car at least twice a month. And that means you, sucker. So let's get you into a car today. Yeah, I want her to listen to that back and listen to it from the perspective of the lead. I know she was trying to sort of impress and say, well, we're high producers. We're doing the minimum to stay on the team is what she essentially said, if I read through the lines. But either way, man, that is not attractive for the lead.
Right. So, hey, by the way, we have some minimum standards on our team to make sure that, we're coached and trained, and so that we provide the highest level of support for the client.
Really, we have to outsell. This team prides itself on outperforming 90% of the other licensed agents in our market with our level of customer service and value that we bring to our clients.
Right. Because now that's about the client.
Right.
And that's what's important. Again, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. This doesn't say I care about you. This says I got to sell something or I'm going to get kicked off this team is what I heard.
Yeah.
And she's not, because she's a good agent. So
yeah, no, I like this agent. I think she's really good. And I think it's an important thing for her to listen to some of this and have us put that funny lens over the words so that she can be like, oh yeah, that was too much. That could have gone wrong for me. That could have caused things I didn't want to happen in the mind of the prospect.
Yeah. So anyway, I think there was a lot of good learning opportunities. The good news is she got an appointment, went show the property. So, I've said this before, even though she didn't do a lot of the things that Dale and I wanted her to do, or she did some things that we didn't want her to do, the number one thing she did is showed up and made the call. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was just doing a training today and I was like, listen, if you did nothing that I tell you and you just say really dumb things, but you say it to enough people, you will sell houses. I promise you. I've met those.
Yeah, I've met them too.
Yeah.
It dumbfounds me, but it's true.
Yeah, say dumb things to enough people and you will sell real estate, I promise you. But the point being, we're being funny. The point is do it, have the conversations, then come here and have Heckle and Jekyll listen to your calls so that we can help you improve, right?
Amen. Well, Dale, that's what I got for today, and I appreciate
Excellent.
you as always. Anything you'd like to share before we close?
No, I think that we've melted their brains sufficiently, Brian.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Richard Larkin said, great cash call. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
See ya.